And welcome back to Who Would Win. And we're ending off the week of Who Would Win, which should have ended yesterday. With actually me doing the monthly themed Who Would Win first, instead of which would have technically been Wednesday, because Wednesday is October. And during the month of October, I like to mostly do Halloween horror slasher themed Who Would Wins of some kind. So I decided to just swap the two because it turned out the one I was going to do on Monday is at least semi-Halloween based, so I can I can get away with that. But this is continuing off the theme one of, in this case, the Rookie 13, if you include Sai, which that is the character from Naruto. That's the character we're looking over today. Is Sai, the Ink Ninja, if you will. Now, Sai was a member of the Foundation, or Root, as it's also known as. So he was basically like a Black Ops, like secret, you're not supposed to know about these guys kind of guy. And he was exceptionally well trained. He was considered the best in his generation. Now, in terms of skill, he's a skilled hand-to-hand fighter. Nothing amazing, but it's not his specialty. But he's a skilled fighter in hand-to-hand. Skilled in swordsmanship, as he has a Tanto, which is a short blade. But his main jutsu, his main ninja abilities, lie within ink release, or Inca style, where he is able to basically create and use ink in several ways. A technique is called the ink mist. I can't remember exactly what it's called, but he can create ink clones. He can, obviously, he's probably got the standard academy substitution transformation clone jutsu. But basically, it's kind of like it's basically like a teleportation technique of some kind. His main technique is the beast imitation technique, where it's basically he draws something and it comes to life. A lot of times you'll use it with birds for travel, rats or snakes for information gathering, lions or tigers for attacking. And then he has the divine version, or the god version. I can't remember if it's god or divine, where he just creates these giant muscle mass guys and attacks and just kills. And just in pure brute strength. However, he does have one other technique called, I believe, like a tiger scroll sealing technique. Basically, he creates a giant tiger on a giant piece of paper. And basically what happens is the tiger latches onto an opponent or object and seals it within the scroll. But that one takes a bit of time, so he needs prep time for that. So I initially put him against the character from Bleach called Yukio, because for some reason that kind of seemed to work in my mind. But the more I'm thinking, I was like, that really doesn't work. So who else could I put him against? And I'm thinking, okay, someone who's ink drawing based? Who? And then I'm on my way home, and I remember watching a clip from Teen Titans versus Teen Titans. I haven't even watched that series or that movie. I've just seen some clips. It looks actually kind of fun. I at least liked the original Teen Titans, that's for certain. And I'm like, wait, Teen Titans. And then suddenly Brushogun came to me. I was like, wait, that's an ink-based, like a literary-based individual. So Brushogun was a amazing artist during his youth, but used dark magic to bring his creations to life. Unfortunately, the spell had a terrible cost. It cursed his body, transformed his skin into paper, and ink filled. Basically, blood became ink, skin became paper, and he could create minions of a variety of colors, drawings that could do his bidding. He was eventually captured over by Daizo Uehara, who actually turned out to be the real villain of the series. So let's be honest. Let's be very clear here. We are going to actually look at Brushogun in terms of Uehara Daizo, because that was actually the villain of the series, who was using Brushogun because he had captured him to make more villains to make himself look like the hero, and had ultimately used them against his will. So basically, he can use his abilities to create monsters, equipment, characters just to fight on his behalf. However, they will dissolve. They have a fatal weakness to water, which they will dissolve instantly. Since the creations are all made of ink, that being said, they can shift their forms, disguise themselves, and generate any damage from lost limbs. The ink can be used to manipulate physical objects. His powers when pushing limits can create a giant ink monster with him at the core of it. Giant stature, immense strength, and resilience. Possess any connection with machine to control at will. Hence, that's how Daizo had used him. He had merged with that as well. And he can still create ink. He can still form ink construction, attack, and ensnare individuals. But since Brushogun is the source of the magic, remove the actual Brushogun from the inside there, and you will take down the creation and undo the magic. So if these two faced off, who would win? Sai would be, charged to find Brushogun. He locates him in the hideout. Unfortunately, Brushogun. And now that being said, there are several notable ones they created in the movie. There is Sayako Tech, who resembles a Power Ranger Kamen Rider. Deka Mito, which is a giant green reptilian monster who resembles Godzilla. He was seen in the beginning of the film. Timoko, the yellow sushi-obsessed robot that Cyborg fights in homage to Boss Borat, the Megazord. All these are apparently homages to things. Nai, a pink cat girl, not typical anime cat girls. Mecha Boy, a blue robot that resembles Astro Boy. And Scarface, Raven's ghost-like opponent, is based off a No-Face from Hayao Miyazaki's Spirited Away. And then the Tokyo Troopers, living ink creatures that look like human police troopers. Troopers come in, and Sai can immediately take these guys out, like no problem whatsoever. Knowing who his opponent would be, he knows he doesn't have to hold back, and he can just kill them instantly. He immediately creates lions and things to go after their ink clones. And the ink duplicates. The specialized ones come in, he creates more, and that's where a lot of the fight comes in. Plus, he's carving through them with a blade. Now, the thing is, I think Sai's creations are weaker constructually. Like, structurally speaking, they are weaker. They'll be blown apart a lot easier than Brushoguns. But Sai's definitely the more skilled opponent and has more tactics on hand. So he could definitely keep going, and he would probably plow through. He disappeared at one point. He would square off against Daizo, saying it's like we know it was you. Come quietly, and you will not be hurt. And say, you will not take me. No, I will still be there. And then he merges and creates the giant Brushogun monster. To which now Sai's like, oh crap. So he's creates a couple dozen birds. Some throws a bunch of lines out, but Brushogun just quickly actually absorbs the ink, and just like, you're nothing but ink. It fuels me. Now Sai's got a problem here. He can summon those gods, but being made of ink, Brushogun could probably just absorb it. So what does Sai do? Well, he's distracting him because he still has ninja tools on him. He probably still has flashbangs, still has explosive notes, things along those lines. So, he throws a couple kunais and all of a sudden he blows up. But unfortunately, he didn't hit Brushogun. But he did briefly see Brushogun out of there. Just he sees him. He's like, that's it. And then basically he used that time as he was reforming to create the lion. Tries to use the line to seal him away into the painting, or to the scroll, which starts to slowly work, but the line's just not big enough, unfortunately. But ultimately, the lion was just used as a distraction, because now Sai throws a flashbang in his face, just, does one more explosive kunai, and then just grabs onto Brushogun and basically pulls him out of the monster. The thing is that this is a twofold fight, or a double-sided fight, because in one hand, once he gets into giant monster ink Brushogun form, there is nothing Sai could throw at him apart from some explosive notes and flash bombs that could do anything, because being made of ink, he could just absorb the ink that the creatures are made of that Sai's throwing at him. However, Sai is a much better tactician. He's a trained ninja. He's spent years on the battlefield, like legitimate battlefield, not fighting monsters that you create on your own. So, as a corrupt cop he wasn't really doing anything on his own. So he would be able to identify the weak points of the Brushogun monster, particularly the fact that Brushogun himself is the power source. So you just got to get Brushogun out of there. I fully believe Sai is capable of doing this. So ultimately, I gotta go Sai, but that's assuming that he can get there. I will give the majority to Sai, but it's a pretty fine margin. Like, if we're going percentages here, I'm going to say 60-40. I think if Sai can't get the Brushogun, then Brushogun, as Daizo is, would take him out, because he would have nothing he could throw at him that would take him down. And ultimately, he'd probably suffocate Sai and drown him in ink. So ultimately, that's where my thoughts lie on that. But until then, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. As always, if you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll do a review of it at some point. Ideas for who would win, Star Wars, superhero magic, what if, anything to do in the channel. Put that in the comments below as well. I'll get to that at some point. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you folks next time. Later.